Hello, Ward Melville High School students and parents. So glad that I could be with you today. My name is Michael Hoffner. I am a social worker and the co-founder and executive director of the Community Growth Center, which is a nonprofit community wellness center located in Port Jefferson Station. So honored to be with you to talk a little bit about my role as a social worker as well as a director of a nonprofit agency. So let's get into it. I have the questions here, so I'm going to kind of just go through them and talk with you and answer these questions. And it's my honor. So, the educational background or major that is most helpful. So, in order to be a social worker, you need to have your master's in social work, which is a degree after your bachelor's. In terms of your bachelor's degree, you can really get any degree that you want. I got mine in environmental science, which is much different than social work. So I would just encourage all of you to be open to exploring whatever you're passionate about, knowing that if you want to become a social worker, you can get your master's in social work after you finish your 4-year degree. So don't feel any pressure that you have to pick perfectly, right out of high school, what you're going to do, what your degree is going to be. There's always room for changing course and, setting a new direction. I had originally gone to school and got my undergraduate in environmental science thinking I was going to be a science teacher. And then through a series of life events and things that happened to me personally, I was moved to change course and become a social worker. So follow your passion. Follow what your interest is, and be open to changing direction if you're moved in another way, because it's always okay to change your mind. You're never locked into one decision. So let me just look through as we kind of go through this. Is your company, what type of positions do people get hired for? So at the Community Growth Center, which is like I said, a nonprofit wellness center, we offer a variety of different services. So we do mental health, we do spirituality and wellness programs, and then we do physical health. And so we have social workers, we have nutritionists, we have yoga instructors, we have meditation and prayer facilitators. And then we also have, on the administrative side, we have a program coordinator that kind of helps oversee and make sure everything is kind of prepared and ready for those that are doing the kind of more person-to-person work. So we have direct care staff that are doing counseling, that's leading groups, leading workshops, running programs all around different wellness services. And then we have some administrative staff as well. One of the other things that goes on with a nonprofit center is there's a board of directors, which are not staff, they're not paid, but they are a group of individuals that help to guide and advise myself and the work at the Community Growth Center. So aside from staff, we have a board of directors that helps kind of, keep the Community Growth Center afloat. So, so what opportunities are there for advancement in your profession or field? As a social worker, social workers you're going to find in all different areas of the economy. So you could be an individual clinician doing one-on-one counseling as a social worker. You could be a school social worker. I'm sure there are at least one, maybe more school social workers at Ward Melville. You could be in policy work at a legislative area where you're trying to get different laws and policies passed. So there's a lot of different areas that you can work as a social worker. You can be in kind of a administrative role as a director of a center or a program. So there's a lot of opportunities for advancement and growth. just depending on what path you want to take as a social worker. So it's one of the things that I always tell people when they're interested in going into social work, is that there's so many different areas that you can take it. So it's a very broad field. So it's one of the perks that I think of being a social worker. Why did you choose this career? And what is it that you most like about it? So the reason that I chose it is as somebody that went through some struggles when I was younger. Social workers played a instrumental role in helping me find health and wellness and helping me navigate some difficult times in my life. And so as I began thinking about what I wanted to do, after kind of thinking maybe I wanted to be a teacher, it became clear to me that being a social worker would be the best fit for me and where I was really being called. So for me, social work became something of a calling after other social workers in the field really helped me get to where I am. So what I like most about it is really the ability to be there for people in their most difficult time. When they're struggling, when they're going through some trauma or difficulty, social workers are able to sit with people, to hold space for people, to find healing and comfort, and a sense of being heard. And I think that that's something that is essential in all of our lives, and something that's really lacking for a lot of people, is that that sense of being heard and listened to. And social workers provide an opportunity for others to find healing. And I think any time that we can help somebody find healing, we are doing a great service, not just to that individual, but to society as a whole. The more that people are healed, the more that people find inner peace and wellness, the more that they can transform their own life and then their community and the larger world. So social workers play an instrumental role in that process. There's a quote that I love that says, "If you've saved one person, you have saved the world." And I think that that's especially true for the work of social workers. We never know the impact that other people are going to have once they leave our care, having kind of been transformed. Everybody that they meet then is meeting a new version of that person, and hopefully they're making positive impacts within the community. And what is the most challenging part of the job? Well, it's interesting. It's one of the blessings, but it's also one of the hardest parts. As a social worker, you have to become trained and able to hold a lot of pain and difficulty that you're witnessing in other people's lives on a daily basis. And it is beautiful, but it can also be challenging at times. And so the advice that I would give anybody that is thinking about becoming a social worker is really search your heart. I think social work, more than a profession, is a calling. Do you feel called to be somebody that bears witness to other people's pain and struggles? Do you feel called to be of service and to help others navigate their own challenges in their life in a very specific frontline kind of way, where you're dealing with individuals kind of at their most vulnerable place? If that's something that you feel called to do, then I would encourage you to pursue social work. And then once you start that, you might find that social work takes you in different paths, like I was saying before. But first and foremost, I think the thing for you to consider is, do you feel like you're being called to do a profession in which you are bearing witness and dealing directly with people that are struggling in their own journey? And so I would also suggest anybody that is interested in going into social work is, take care of your own self first. That none of the work that we do can be done if we're not healed ourselves. So Every good therapist is also in therapy. Everything that I can provide to others, I first have to have received myself internally. So the other career advice I would give is make sure you're taking as good a care of yourself as possible, healing yourself so that you can heal others. So I thank you for listening, for being here today, and please, if you have any questions, you can find us at communitygrowthcenter.org. My name is Michael Hoffner. I'd be glad to work with and answer any of your questions that you may have. So thank you once again for listening, and I wish you all the best.